grip equipment. We turn on the lights, we focus the lights, we move them up and down, left and right, but we want to control the lights. Remember, lighting is all about control of shadows and highlights. And one of the best and easiest way to do that is to put blockers and diffusers and reflectors with your lights. So to do that, we use grip gear. Right here, I have some of the basic grip gear. We're going to learn about C-stands or Sentry stands. We're going to learn how to open them, how to close them, and how to rig them. We're going to learn of what we put on them. We're going to do flags and nets and GOBOs, oh my. We're going to learn how to keep safe with them by taking care with sandbags. So we have a bunch of C-stands here. Some of them are made by the Matthews Company, some by the American Grip Company. There's ones that are silver, there's ones that are black, there's ones that are taller than the others, some go higher, some go lower than each other. But they all kind of have a basic setup and names for the pieces. So let's find out what those are. I've pulled out my stands. They were all soldered together so I could easily get one out from the other. I'm going to turn this a little bit so you can see all the knuckles. Those are locks. Those control risers and they control panning of certain things. This is the head of the C-stand. So you can just have the stand itself. When you put a C head and arm on it, it becomes a C-stand. This is, the head has a tilt function. The arm itself can raise or lower, be brought upside down by the tilt if you wanted to, come out. We can do all sorts of configurations with it. It has its own head to hold things on it. That's attached, as I said, to the stand. We have two risers. That's what these knuckles control. So I can raise this up. And then I have the whole, just the stand itself coming down to the base. Sometimes the base is called a turtle, and we're going to find out why it's called a turtle in just a minute. The reason it's called a C-stand is because if I raise, and I'm going to go way up high with this, I can raise my stand, my arm, and put something on it. Then I can raise my first riser, my second riser. I can go 100 inches in the sky. Now hang on, this may be a little bit dangerous for a second. I'm going to take a sandbag, put this on here. A lot of the times you handle a C-stand, you wear gloves because in a hurry, there's a lot of knobs. So you could accidentally release one down and that could be pretty heavy. So you could catch a finger in there. So the important thing about working in C-stands and grips is that things are metal. Things can come down. So if you just practice safe and take your time, you'll get faster as you get more experienced at it. But as you get tired, you tend to make some mistakes. So you want to always be aware of how to properly handle a C-stand. I'm going to take my gloves off again. And we're going to start talking about how these open up and close and put them away, because there's 3 different styles here. So I'm going to reach down. I'm going to take my sandbag off. Okay? I'm going to take my sandbag off. So good protocol is to reach down and hold onto your stand and then put your foot on the stand and then take your sandbag off. Because if you didn't, the sandbag could lift the whole stand off. And I'm going to stack my sandbags crisscross so they don't come up like little ice cream cones and they don't topple over as much. Sometimes if I just go and grab my sandbag on it, I can tip my whole stand over. So you want to get into good practice of any light or any stand. Once you're going to get it, you're going to reach down and put your hand on it. I do want you to notice that when I grab my C-stand, I put my hands around the head and the arm and not inside, because someone could be helping me or I could get pinched like that, and that's not really good. So get into a good habit of being able to do that when you work on your stands. And so I'm going to take my sandbag off. I'm going to take my sandbag, come over here, and I'm going to put it in a crisscross position so that they stack up and stay nice and safe. So here's a C-stand. And if I was going to store it, I could store it in a couple of ways. For this particular C-stand, one way I could store it is to remove the legs from the whole stand itself. If I reach down and take this out, I could store this on a pipe rack. I could also put this in the bottom of a trunk of a car or the back seat. So it's really great that this comes apart like this. Now take a look at our stand. It has a receiver. I could put an adapter in that with a spud on it, a spud being a piece here that you put the C-stand on or you put a light on, and I could have a light that's really low, and that's why we call it a turtle. Not all of our stands are like that. So I just put it right in. I can also use that to turn this around any way that I want to. I'm going to close this, make it nice and tight. This is called a spring load. I'm going to show you how to close it and then show you how to open it. Now, there's a couple of different ways, and it's really up to you about how comfortable you feel about opening these. First way I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it upside down and collapse the legs in a very safe manner. The most important thing you want to do is you want to be aware of your surroundings. You don't want to be lifting up a stand and putting it out like this and knocking somebody's teeth out. You don't want to be hitting pieces of furniture or anything else. So when you're carrying a C-stand, you either want to carry it straight up and walking forward. I like to hold it on my shoulder almost straight up and hold it against my hip with one arm like this and walk it in. But if I'm doing this and walking with it in any way, you say points, because that means there's points sticking out everywhere, and you want to be very careful about that. So that's important when you're moving a C-stand or moving it around. Most of the time on set, I just pick it up and move it, hold it close to myself, and just move it forward. All right, I'm going to pick this up, turn it upside down, arrange the legs in a way where my body will just use less energy to get this to close, and then it'll be ready to store away. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to look around me, I'm going to take a step forward and flip my stand upside down. I want to rotate it until I have the big leg in front of me, lined up with my nose. I may not want my stand to go scooting away anywhere, so I may even put my foot down on it. Sometimes I put a bag underneath it just to hold it. If I'm outside in the Texas mud, I take my C-stand head, it goes in the dirt. This is not my favorite way of opening and closing a C-stand, but other people seem to like it. So I'm fine as long as you do it and you don't ruin your stand. Line up the stand in front of you straight into your nose, so it's straight into your body, with the biggest leg that you have in your right hand. And a spring load like this, you reach forward, you pull the middle leg to you, and you grab it, it'll just spring in, and you hold it. Then you take the next, again with your left hand, take the smaller one, and there you go. Now you're ready to put it away. To open it, same deal. I hold it, I secure the bottom in some way, take my left hand, I hold the other two with my right, I just pull out towards my left shoulder, and you'll feel it clicking in. There's actually some grooves here that'll click in. Hear it? That's a spring load, because there's actually a spring inside here that this tightens up on. I'm going to take this one, move it out. There it is. Now it's ready to stand up. I make sure no one's behind me. I'll take a step forward. I'll slide my hand down, and I'll just flip it so it's ready to go. To close it, I'm going to do it really fast now, closing, okay? I'm going to step forward, grab it, flip it, big leg to me, close, close, ready to be put away. Now I'm going to show you the other way of opening it up. I usually go to a truck. It comes off of my stand cart. I grab it with two hands. I shift it to my right shoulder, and I keep it almost as straight up as possible. I go ahead and put my hip forward and my knee, and I take the big leg and I lean it right on the edge of my knee. My hand is long enough to reach down and hold that big leg again. I reach forward and take the little leg and move it out. I reach forward again, take the middle leg, and the whole thing spins around. And then I just lower it to the ground, and I'm already rigging it. So I don't have to worry about flipping it too many times. It's already in the position that I need. To close it, I reach down again, I bring it up, I grab the biggest leg with my right hand. Again, it's against my hip, but this time I take my left hand and hold this, and I take my right hand and I slap down the middle one, and I slap down the little one. So I can open and close it by just shifting my hands. Right hand on the big leg, swing it open with my left. Left hand on the stand, close it with my right. And I always have it ready to go. This is how I was taught to do it and how I prefer to do it because I'm not getting any of my head pieces or anything in the dirt. That's a spring load. There you go. This is a different one. Not only is it a black one, which makes it less reflective on set, but this base does come out, so it does become a turtle if I need it to. But you're going to notice something a little bit different. I'm going to turn around it so you can see it. It has this little knob. So instead of this springing open, this is kind of like a jigsaw puzzle, and this kind of fits, this releases the top leg to keep it from just closing automatically on the others. This is called, this brake is really good, and this is a keyed one. It isn't a spring one, so this opens a little bit different. The best way to open and close this is to take up a little bit of real estate. I'm going to lean it forward, bring it up, and when I loosen it, I just spin it. So we call this a spinner. Let me show you how it opens up. I'm not dealing with the big knob. That's going into the turtle here. I'm going to be dealing with this knob. I've loosened up that knob, and then I'm just going to rotate the stand around, and it'll key itself into it. And then I put it down on the ground, and I lock it. So that's called a spinner. It's a different type of stand. This one's a little taller than that one, so it goes a little bit higher. So I'm going to stage that one. The last one is a baby C-stand, but this could be a taller one too. It closes a little bit differently than this one. The shaft does not come up. What this does is it raises this leg. So what if you're outside and you're on a mountaintop or something, or you want it on a hill or a stairway? You could put one on the steps and be able to do down that. So that's called an adjustable leg. And that's just an interesting, but the whole shaft itself does not come out. This is a spinner. So once you do flip it up and release that, then it will start spinning. There it locks. So to open it, you open that up and you spin it until it catches the little puzzle pieces on itself. And there you go. Okay, so that's the 3 different types of C-stands that we have here. Next, we're going to take and put we're going to use the C-stand and put some controllers in it. I'm going to solder these back again. Go ahead, I'm going to put the big leg over the other one. I'm going to use a spring load. Okay, so I have my C-stands and my arm. I can control light, block light, and take away intensity of light, or diffuse the light with things called nets and flags. Here they are over here. I use a C-stand to put different things in it to go between the light and the subject. I am putting GOBOs in there. A GOBO can be a flag, a solid piece of material that blocks the light entirely off the whole subject or parts of the subject. It can be a net, which is 2 different to 3 different levels of netting that can control the intensity of that light, block some of the light, but not entirely. You can change the intensity of that light with a net. You can put a silk on it. A silk will spread the light and make a light that is hard and specular, make it more diffused and really spread the light out. I could put a tree branch in this and make a gobo of a shadow of a tree on a wall because I have my light source and my stand and go that. So anything can be a gobo. Gobo can be a person standing in and making a shadow. That if they're between the light and the subject, like the wall, that can be a gobo too. So there's a lot of names for gobos. There's also a gobo flag itself, and I'm going to show you what that is. And in the theater, a gobo can also be a piece of metal pattern that goes in a specific light. I have one of those, and I'll show you that right now. This is also a gobo. For certain lights, parabolic lights or licos in the theater, or even in a movie or commercial, sometimes you want to make a pattern with your light on the walls. So you take cutouts of either glass or of metal, and you put them in a holder like this, and then this goes inside the light in front of the lens, and it casts a shadow. So again, it's the same principle, something going between the light source and the subject that you want to hit. So gobos. C-stands can also do other things. They can hold curtain rods, you can hold lights, you can hold a boom on it. It has a lot of different things to do. What we're going to concentrate in is how to use a C-stand to control light. So to control light, we use flags and nets and silks and gobos. They come in different sizes, different densities, and different materials. We have some standard sizes that we use a lot, but then there's also other sizes to talk about. This is a flag box. A flag is basically a frame with a material on it that you use for lighting. The flag can be a solid flag, solid material. This is normally called a flag. This is a silk. So this has white diffusion, and it can come in different densities. There's a half silk and a full silk here. We can have a netting, and this is a double net. This takes down a full stop worth, a full f-stop worth of light intensity from a light. It's actually 2 pieces of netting material. This is a single. It's only 1 density. Just like the scrims that go in the light, these are color-coded in that way. So red means a double, which is a full stop or f-stop worth of light. Green is a single. Then we have another solid. Gripland, this is a lettuce and tomato sandwich. We have 2 pieces of bread, 2 solids. You have a single, which is your lettuce, a double, which is your tomato, and you have your mayonnaise, which is white. I know, kind of silly, but someone will say that for me. This is a gobo flag. So it's a cutout pattern. This is fiberglass with a cutout pattern on it that when I shine light through it, depending if I have it close to the light, I can have a very diffused and soft pattern, or if I pull it away from the light or make the light seem further away from it, it could be hard and defined. All of these are technically flags, but we tend to call a solid flag a flag, and the rest are nets, singles or doubles, or silks or gobos. The standard size is 2 feet by 3 feet, sometimes called a 23. However, flags come in different sizes. I could have a 1 by 3. This is called an axe because it's nice and big. I could have a 2 by 1, a little smaller if I wanted to. They even make flags called fingers and dots that are only 2 inches wide by 3. When you're doing something delicate you want to cut light off of, like when you're doing a commercial for cereal and the milk is too white and you want to block that. So there's little tiny flags and nets and silks like that. But there's even bigger ones. When you need a big area covered, you bring out the big things. This is a 4 by 4. It's a 4 by 4 solid. It's 4 feet by 4 feet. They make 4 by 4 silks. They make 4 by 4 nets. They make 4 by 4 gobos. When it's bigger than this, if the frame gets bigger than 4x4, then they start to call butterflies. And we make a lot of frames out of that, and we put silks and we put reflectors on them and we put solids if we want to block lights in bigger areas. This has a little bit of a trick to it though. This is called a floppy because on this side I have fabric that's Velcroed on. And it can become, instead of a 4x4, it flops down. If I had it on a stand, it would flop down. And now it's a 4x8. So it's really good for blocking lights and windows and things like that. And it Velcros right back on. And there we go. When operating a C-stand, the important thing is knowing which way the weight of the object that you're putting in it is going to go. Because you want to have your arm and your head tightening in that weight. So if the object started coming down, its gravity would tighten itself so you wouldn't fall out. Because it can be very dangerous if it does it. I'm going to practice correct usage of weight, just like we do with our stands. I'm going to take the biggest leg and put it in the direction of where I'm going to put my weight. So one easy way to do for this one is to reach down, turn the knob, and I can turn my legs around. So I'm just going to spin my legs around, and then I'm going to tighten it. So now my head and my arm are in the same position as that big leg. If I push forward, it's not going anywhere. I'm going to raise my arm a little bit. And notice, I undid my knuckle this direction. Towards me is going to be loosening. Away from me is tightening. If I put the stand in front of me and put the head and the arm knuckles on my right-hand side, when I tighten forward, that's where the weight's going to go. That's a really good way to do it. Always put the stand in front of you and your knuckles and your head on the right-hand side. So I'm going to bring this down. We're going to take a flag and we're going to put it in this and put it out. Let's take a look at the different receiving holes I can put something into. I have this big giant hole, goes all the way through these two plates. I have a medium hole here, which can rotate up or down. And then really hard to see is a little tiny hole. I could put a wire in that and string a wire to another wire and do it with fish line and have things fly through my set if I wanted to. I can put curtain rod through this and hang my own sort of curtain in the side. If it's a bigger branch, I just rotate this out and these plates get bigger so I can put something bigger in that. If I have a flat material like a card or a sign, I can rotate this out and put it between the two flats. What we're going to use for our stands is we're going to use this the middle hole, not the big one, but the next size down, because our receivers are that size. So I'm going to turn this back because we've decided we're going to put my flag going in this direction. I'm just going to start with a flag going straight out. So I'm going to loosen this up, and I'm going to grab a solid flag. I'm going to have a sandbag handy. I'm not going to put my sandbag on it because I don't know where I'm putting this yet. I'm going to put my foot on the stand. I'm going to bring up my flag. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the receiver, and I'm going to lock it right there. I'm going to keep turning it down till I get the lock. And there it is. So my weight is going over the leg. If this had any more weight on it, as it comes down, it's actually going to lock it and tighten it. I can raise and lower. I can put my flag out. I can put it on an angle. I can lock it. If I'm really happy, I could pan it. If I wanted to, I can lower it. I can take, if I loosen this, it's like a big erector set. If I loosen this and then loosen my arm, I could bring it down. I could put it on an angle again. I could put it like this or that. But I always want to make sure my weight is locking this way. down. I can raise it all the way up to the sky. I'm happy with the weight going this way, so I'm going to take my sandbag and put it on that front of that leg. So it helps support that going anywhere. I'm going to put these in a couple of really quick positions, and we're going to say what the names of them are for, okay? When we do our lighting, you're going to see me placing flags and nets and silks and everything in different angles and different positions to make it do what I want to do. So this is straight up. A lot of the times on a set, I like to keep it straight up as close as I can to the light. It takes up less area, people can't run into it, and it keeps it nice and do it. So that's straight up. This is a sider from the side. This is a tabletop. Sometimes you need more than one person to help you hold it. Sometimes the grip holds it and the other person tightens it down. So that would be a topper. If it was above me, I might put it underneath and block the sun for the camera operator to see it. We call that a courtesy flag. So I might have a topper and block some of the sun. That might be diffusion to take a bright day and make it more even for me to do. A bottomer would be something that I rig down below, and I turn it, and I might go like this, and then I might block some light going like that. I can reach this all the way out, away from my light. If I see my C-stand and my light's out there, I can go ahead and do that. The main thing you want to be careful of is this end, because people could walk into that. So whenever you can, you either stick that up in the sky and rearrange so they can't run into it, or you stick it down below. So I would go like this and do it the other way and lower. So that's sticking down there, maybe someone won't run into it. We take tennis balls and put them on the end. Some people I know on set used to take empty water bottles and put them on it, but the water bottle still might have water in it, so it gets all over the floor. So, like I said, sometimes it takes more than one person to help you rig it. Sometimes someone holds the flag and someone just brings the stand in and rigs it. So that's the basics of using a C-stand. When we do our three-point lighting and do our lighting style looks, we're going to be controlling separate lights in different ways with our grip gear. See you in just a while.